Salve, anyways, this is a Blu-ray, Curio, rare Blu-ray Rollerball, Twilight time. This is the MGM. You can see it's got the 90 thing. I think I got this one like for about $20–30. Some of them were really expensive, but there's like another one that I don't think it's region locked. I think it's the same company that I have the Ray Harryhausen collection on. But basically, I think this is limited to, I think this one's 3,000. I think there's 3,000 copies of this one. And this is like one of my favorite movies. This is one of the ones that I really wanted to get onto the Blu-ray. You know, that was like, you know, you could see there's James Caan, Jonathan E. And you know, this is a pretty cool back. It's interesting, the colors are like different. Like on the DVD and the Blu-ray, I think the colors, I kept the plastic on even though I opened it. And I even have the soundtrack, Previn, P-R-E-V-I-N or something. Previn did the soundtrack. And there's some really good songs on there, and you know, the main song like dun 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 dun, like that one. That one's like really good. So basically, this is like they invented a game. It's sort of like Blood Bowl. If you ever played Blood Bowl, they actually have a Blood Bowl version of it, I think. I had like some video games. They had a Rollerball video game for the Commodore, and I didn't really understand it, but you could be like all the teams. Like he's the Houston Power, and you could be the other teams. And it was alright. The graphics weren't that great or anything. And then there was like another one that was like Speedball. That was pretty good. It was really quick, but it was different. So there's been a few games of these, and yeah, so this was one of the ones I really wanted, one of the few Blu-rays that I really wanted to get. I really like to get the Sword and the Sorcerer on Blu-ray, maybe a few other things. I might be able to get a Beastmaster, but I don't think that's region A. So that's a little bit of a complicated thing. But yeah, you can see it's decent art. I watched it all. I watched all the special features, everything. This is an anti-violent movie, so it's a movie against violence and the futility of violence. But in America, they mostly like the video game style. They wanted the game. They wanted to play the actual game, the rollerball game. And in Europe, it's more like the political thing. So Jonathan's trying to find out how corporate decisions are made. Basically, it's like today. It's a fascist society ruled by the corporation. So it's a pure fascist corporation. They took away his first wife at one point, and he really loved her, but, you know, she's a woman. She only cares about money and power. She'll roll with anybody. It doesn't matter to her. So they have these little pill drugs that they give people. So Moon Pie, I think, is the other guy, and he's starting to get popular too. And nobody was ever supposed to get good at the game. No one was supposed to be as good as Jonathan E. Jonathan E's been playing the game for like 10 years. But so they start making all these rule changes, and they make these decisions because they want to force him to retire, and they keep replacing his women. They're all like drugged out and hooked on these weird pills. And the one girl that was with him that he wasn't even going to say goodbye to, it didn't seem like she was on the drugs. But then when he sees her again at this other party, she's like strung out on the drugs. They're shooting stuff with like a friggin' ray gun. And they don't even see the players as humans. They think they're like robots and stuff. So it's basically a violent game that was made to distract the masses and give them something to root for. Like, even the crowd starts becoming more violent as the rules become more violent. They get rid of fouls, they get rid of other things. Like if you used to run somebody over with a motorcycle, it was like a 3-minute penalty, and then there was no longer a penalty. So the final match is going to be played with no time limit. So it's like the first quarter and everyone's dead. Moon Pie at this point, I don't really want to give her a movie review, but let's just say Moon Pie's already gone. They took him out. He gets a little bit of a Pearl Harbor job, you might say. But he had perfected this move to get somebody off the motorcycles. And when he's training the people, he says the swoop or whatever, the swoosh. And he explains how you sort of skate up the thing and then use your momentum. So it's basically like a lot like roller derby. Roller derby used to be like a big sport. It's kind of like how wrestling was a big sport or big entertainment thing, and then it became nothing. And roller derby used to be a real sport, but then they started fudging it up, making it rigged, because they figured it would be better ratings that way. So that's how roller derby got like that, and that's how wrestling got. Like wrestling started real, and roller derby started real, and things start real. Maybe I'll do a full review of this. But basically, they want to get rid of him. The old man gets pushed out, all this other stuff, you know, and he ends up, everyone's rooting for him. Everyone, the whole world. Everyone's chanting, Jonathan! 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 So it's like really cool, like that aspect of it. And you know, I used to play Blood Bowl, and I used to play like Dungeon Bowl and stuff like that. That's more like a football version of like this, and then like the Mutant League hockey and the Mutant League football and like the Sega Genesis. But yeah, I mean, roller derby, I could have DVR'd it. I mean, it's hard to watch over and over again, but it's one of my favorite movies, and yeah. The Blu-ray's pretty decent. You know, like I said, some of the colors are different. James Caan is great in his role. You believe James Caan as Jonathan, and you kind of can believe it was real sport. They used a lot of stunt people. They actually did the game. They actually skated around. Like all the things were like hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo. Like all their little things like that. That's all from the stuntmen just screwing around, and they started picking up on it, and they said, hey, you know what, this is pretty good to add in. And this is the real Rollerball movie, not to be confused with the horrible remake that they did. Well, I guess we can call it a remake. I guess the woke version of it, but yeah. So this was pretty tough to get. Eventually I got it, and like I said, I kept the plastic on, and I watched it a few times, and yeah. I mean, good luck picking it up. It's an MGM movie. Now MGM got sold to Amazon, so to get a physical copy of this on Blu-ray is going to be even tougher. But this was limited to 3,000. You could try one of the bootleg copies, because that might not be region locked, because my Ray Harryhausen was from the same company, but it's not region locked, so it might depend on your player. But anyways, I hope you check out Rollerball sometime. It's one of the great movies, and maybe I'll do a full review on it at some point. But yeah, it's pretty true to the society we live in at one point. It's funny, because he goes to the one spot to ask his computer, and everything's been liquefied. They got rid of all the books, and they have these privilege cards, and like you have to get a privilege card, and like the people in the corporations have privilege cards. But Jonathan is so powerful that he even has a privilege card. But he's like the only one in the sport to ever get a privilege card, and everyone else in the sport has to play out their contract. And Jonathan, they're pressuring to retire, but everyone else, that if they don't want to play, they have to play because they signed their contract. So I think a lot of these people that play the games are like orphans. They don't have any families, so they're easy to dispose of or get rid of, and no one misses them. And it's based on a book, and the book, I think the book's more graphic. Like they have guns, and they're shooting and stuff, and they, you know, it's a lot more. There's a game Russia like Moto Ball that's a little bit like this, where they have the motorcycles and the balls. It was in the Olympics once. I think it was called Moto Ball. I just remember it being an Olympic event. They were riding around on motorcycles and kicking like a soccer ball. It was pretty crazy. But anyways, one of my favorite movies, Rollerball, James Caan, great movie, and thanks and take care.